Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bootleg, the Tennesseans high school football weekly video show. Of course, it's presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Week 11, last week of the regular season, folks. If you would have told me we would have made it this far, I would have probably thought you might be kidding the way we started. But we've made it through the regular season. Again, I'm Tom Krager, high school sports editor at the Tennessean, joined by special guest Richard McWhirter from the TSSAA bunker. Busy week for TSSAA. Of course, he's an assistant executive director there at the TSSAA. Mr. McWhirter, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
Well, probably, and I know your time is very, very precious this week because y'all have a lot to do. How is this week with COVID? Is it going to be tougher to do the brackets than most years?
I don't think it's tougher when it comes to doing the brackets. I think the legwork is going on the last few days, last weekend, and the first few days of this week to make sure that if it was a COVID win, that we have all those credited correctly. Because early in the year, you had some that were COVID wins for one team, but then you had some that were what we have in our terminology, dual COVID. That means both schools were out for COVID, so both schools were no contest. So, right now we're confirming all of that, and I think we will be, a normal Friday night. I don't mean normal as in during the year, but a normal last Friday night of the year will be the same for us because we will have all that legwork done ahead of time.
So many questions with COVID, and some people keep asking me what happens if this, and this. So I'm gonna help me out here, and you and I talked about some of this. Here's the scenario people keep asking. If when you're looking at the region standings, are you looking at the region wins or the winning percentage? And if someone ends up 3-0 and 3-2. You don't look, it'd be easy to say, well, the 3-0 gets there, but that's not necessarily the case. I don't think. Is that correct?
That is, yeah. We have always based playoffs on wins, period. Never winning percentage. So when you go to an overall tiebreaker, a school that was 8-2 or a school that was 8-1. They both had the same number of wins, and so we've always done it that way. So we did not change anything in our regulations when it comes to how you make the playoffs. The only thing that was changed was that how we handle when a school could not play due to COVID, and that's where we gave a win to the school that could play and a no contest at the school that couldn't. But yes, we have not changed anything. 3-0 and 3-1 in the region. They are tied. They both have 3 wins, and we go to the next tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm. Shelby County Schools, and obviously they chose not to play this year, and you guys were very, very intimate that it was up to every school system to make their own decision were you going to play this year or not, and no one's knocking Shelby County by not playing. All right, but now you look at these brackets, and there's a lot. The bottom of pretty much every bracket, there's a big empty spot. Right now, my understanding is it will just be blank spots. There'll be buys. Some people have wondered, well, why didn't we adjust the playoffs and fill some of these other holes in? That would go against total protocol of the playoffs, correct?
That is correct. Again, we did not change anything in regulations of how you get into the playoffs. After you get into the playoffs, we have, I know it looks a little different this year because all Shelby County is not playing, but we've had years where a school chose a 1 versus a 4, the 4 chose not to play. Greenback a few years ago with a team up in Upper East. I forget exactly who they were playing, but they felt they didn't have enough kids. They played by in the bracket. You move on. We didn't bring the 5th place team in, or we didn't bring a team from the same region in. So we left the regulations the same. Now, I'm sure some of the questions you're getting on that, 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3, all the way through. But if all of one region wins, the second round games actually look like a 1 versus 3 and a 2 versus 4.
Mhm.
But we didn't change that either, because we have many a times in other sports where we got one region that basically sweeps the other region, and the second round games are all the same, the same side, and we don't reseed. We've never reseeded, so we're keeping all that the same. We just don't feel you need to. Because everyone has a different situation. And if we tried to, accommodate everyone, this COVID pandemic is very bad for everyone. I'll even go to another sport. We got cross country regions this week. We got some kids that literally cannot compete because their school may be quarantined or their team may be quarantined. They're going to be, if they'll be eliminated and won't be in the state, and they may have been in the state 2 or 3 years. We understand that, but we can't change regulations and fit everybody's situation because there's a lot of them. And we just feel the fairest thing across the board is stay what we've always done. Be thankful we're playing. I think people need to go back to that. We need to be there. There are 20 football states like Tennessee that are not playing, and those kids don't get to play. And so we just need to be happy we're playing. We keep everything the same, and we hopefully have a state championship in Cookeville the first week of December.
We'll get to that in a minute, but then also I know we're starting to see, and I've said all along, perhaps for you guys and for us in the media, especially, and for everyone, I think the playoffs could be an absolute nightmare. And just that we've seen teams have to pull out of games all season long. Nothing. I mean, you got to think it's not all of a sudden going to stop when the playoffs start, especially the first 2 rounds with as many people playing. My question, though, is going into the playoffs, then also was there, Stewart's Creek, they were going to play Friday night for the region championship versus Smyrna. They've now closed down the school. The team has been put on quarantine for 14 days. Their season is over. They won't get to play in the playoffs. And like you said, though, you're not going to move anyone up, so that wherever they would fall in the standings, that place will just be open. Correct?
That is correct. Be a bye in the bracket, and the team they were supposed to play will advance to the next level.
I think I track about 5 to 10 games a week being called off, not including like the Shelby County schools that we knew they weren't playing. Have you been tracking any of that, or looking at averages to see where we're at?
You got the number right. That's about the same now. What we don't know, though, Tom, is we do know the Stewart's Creek situation where I'm going by what you have just told me, and I'm assuming I have not talked to Stewart's Creek, but that they have quarantined the school and they have shut down the program. We've had some games canceled this year due to COVID, but could the school have played? And that question is probably yes. May not have had their 5 starting linemen, but they had 5 JV guys that could have played, so they felt it's better to not play and take COVID no contest and give up the win than to maybe play. So I think some of those cancellations we've had hasn't been that a team has been quarantined and couldn't play. All of them, it's just they didn't have their best players, and all of a sudden, I think in the playoffs they may play with those 5 JV kids, on the line, rather than saying we give up, we're done. Because again, the way the regulations were written for COVID, you just get a no contest. So I think we've had a few that, I'm not saying there wasn't COVID cases. I think the entire team was quarantined, but the coaches felt they just didn't have the players, the better players to go out there and compete, which I don't know whether they'll give up a playoff game for that situation.
Well, and I think I agree with that. I've noticed some other ones, and I think the phrase I've heard a couple of times is, we didn't feel like we had enough players to be able to put on a competitive game. Yeah. And then also you probably worry about safety too. If you have a freshman or JV starting lineman, how safe is that if they've never played against varsity competition and everything like that? What will Friday night be like for you guys? It will just be a typical Friday night, or will it be different at all for y'all?
Well, actually, we're meeting with Mr. Childress today. We're probably Bradley Lambert, which is our technology director here at TWSAA, and one of our basically our ace in the hole, I guess you could say. He sets everything up for us, and we normally meet at a place, and all the directors are there, and we go through. We put all the scores in, and then we start going through all the scenarios, and we get the bracket set. This year will probably be Bradley and myself, and then I'll probably have the other directors maybe at their homes or at the office, and we'll probably try to stay social distance. One of the things we have to do at our office that I think TWSAA office is not very big. We don't have but 4 assistant directors and 1 director, and if we go down, then pretty much all the state championships will go down. So we have tried our best to keep the sport separated and people, keep us distanced so that if somebody came down with the virus, it's not shutting us all down. So Friday night, we'll probably all, other than Bradley and I, will probably be in different locations. And then, but we'll get all the scores in like we always do. Then we'll update the standings, and then we will start breaking the ties. After we do that, we'll get everybody in their brackets. We will then post the brackets. And then at that time, our job's not over, even though the media is getting the brackets and all the teams, we can tell who's on our website and looking at different parts of the brackets and the different classes. But we still got to assign officials. We have to assign the tickets because ticket sales this year are all going to be done online. And we've got to, with the seating capacities, we've got to make sure that the athletic directors of each school that's playing against each other has the proper links, and they give their parents and things like that the opportunity to buy tickets prior to them going public. And so they're a little more than normal we got to do, but from getting the scores in until the brackets are set, that's going to be the same as every year. This time, this final Friday night of the year. Now we've gotten better. We normally say, anywhere between midnight and 1 o'clock. If I'm not mistaken, it was a little after 11 last year. Hopefully with no weather delays and everybody gets their scores in, then hopefully we'll have about the same thing between, maybe 11 and 11:30. We've got brackets out there for the schools to see who they're matched up with. Now I will say too, with the way that y'all in the media keep up with it and the coaches, a lot of them know that if this team wins, this is who we play. If this team loses, we play. Now there are a few deep tiebreakers that people don't realize that, we're going to have to find some out of scores and stuff, but the majority kind of know who they're playing and where they would be set. But again, we try to have those brackets finalized hopefully this year, between 11 and 11:30.
Yeah, I usually say somewhere between 11:15, 11:30 is when I expect the brackets to be released. Worst case scenario, I mean, we've made it through the regular season after Friday night, which is, I think a lot of people would say, hey, there we won. We made it through the regular season. Now, as we navigate through the playoffs, or we approach the playoffs, I think we all know there may be some hiccups as far as some teams having to pull out. I've said all along, to me, the worst case scenario is Team A defeats Team B. They're in the playoff. They're in the championship game, and then Sunday or Monday they find out my quarterback, my head coach, 3 offensive linemen, and a defensive lineman. They're all got the virus, and with contact tracing, there's no way we can play. If that happens, what do you do?
If that happens again, it would be a tough situation for everyone put in it, but it would be a bye in the bracket basically, and a team would be awarded the state championship.
So in that case, I mean, think about it. We've got 18. We'll have 18 teams playing in Cookeville those 3 days, and so obviously there is that chance. So essentially, you would just reduce one game.
Yep. Yeah, we would hate for that to happen. Maybe some of the positive is that time of year you've got your Thanksgiving break coming up. your
Mhm.
semifinals, your D2 schools all have a bye that week. So they've actually got about 10 days between their last game and their next game. So, you're hoping that because a lot of the Division II schools don't even go to school at all the week of Thanksgiving. They take the entire week off. So what you're hoping is, because a lot of this contact tracing with football is not that they've really gotten it on the field and it's a person that they're sitting by in the English class has tested positive, and now they're contact tracing, and 5 football players were in that classroom, and now they're out. So that what we're hoping is that maybe with not as much in-person classes going on during those Thanksgiving breaks, that you may not have as much of that contact tracing. And again, I've not heard of any cases where a kid has gotten it on the football field and a program has been shut down. It's always been some type of contact tracing, or a football player has gotten it somewhere else, and then due to contact tracing, some players have had to be out. So, but again, we'll cross that when it happens, Tom. I mean, I know some other states played this summer. For example, Iowa baseball, they play baseball during the summer, so they kept their state championship the same. And in their highest classification, the number one team in the state got the virus and was quarantined when the tournament started. So the number one team in the state didn't happen in the state finals, the example you gave, but probably would have been in the state finals, and they were quarantined and out. And again, they did not advance anywhere in the tournament. So, again, you hate for it to happen, but that we would just have to cross that bridge if it occurs.
State championships, how will it look different? I think the biggest thing is you will empty out the stadium between every game. And whereas some people, and I know talking to Matthew Gillespie in your office, he said, hey, there's no way of tracking, but there may not be a lot of, I bought a ticket and I'm going to go watch every single game that day. That there happens some, but maybe not a lot. So explain why you're doing what you guys are doing.
Well, we're emptying the stadium just to keep up with the count.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the stadium is close to 18,000 when you count the standing room only. People stand in the end zone. They've got plenty of rooms and on each side. And so when on a normal year, we're very seldom ever going to have 18,000 tickets sold. But with the limitations and our stadium 1/3 capacity, the only way we can keep up with it is start all over every game. I mean, if you go with game one and you sell 2,000 tickets, even though 1,500 may have left normally, or maybe even all 2,000 may have normally left, you can't assume they left if you don't clear the stadium. So you got to say, well, we've already sold 2,000 tickets. So we get to the second game and they sell 2,000. Now we get to the 6A finals. We would only be able to sell 2,000 tickets because we couldn't guarantee that there's not already 6,000 people in the stadium. So that's the only way we could keep up with it and guarantee that we are going to be at 1/3 capacity, which is the encouragement of the COVID regulations that we put out to all the schools during the year, and we feel we should have to abide by that. Again, if someone's hiding in the bathroom, I'm not going to every stall to see if somebody's in there. But if there's 100 people sitting on the 50-yard line in the stands, we're going to have a security officer say, the stadium's clear, we're moving on. Now, for us old people, and Tom, I don't know where you fall on that. When we were at Vanderbilt, when I was a younger person, that's how TSSAA used to do it when there was only 3 state championships. I remember had a brother-in-law play for Brentwood Academy, and they played in the 2A game. We were escorted out, but we wanted to watch the 3A game, and we bought another ticket and came back in, 45 minutes to an hour later. So this is something that used to happen. Not because of 1/3 capacity or the capacity limits back in the early 1990s and times like that, but that's how TWSWA used to do it. But this year it's solely so we can keep up with how many people are in the stadium for every ball game.
Well, so I'm just glad you didn't say that you hid in the bathroom back then.
No, I did not. I actually went to Fuddruckers. So
there you go.
But no, that was one the reason I mentioned that. That was one thing that Cook will ask us when we were meeting with tech and stuff. They're like, "How exactly are we getting everybody out?" And we're like, if people are just obviously standing around, we're going to escort them out. But if they're hiding somewhere, we're not going looking. But and we've got to be able to make sure that there are a few games. I mean, the Elizabethan game last year that had quite a few in there, and if they played the second game and we didn't clear the stadium, the third game would be Maryville. Was last year Maryville and Oakland. We wouldn't have been able to put anybody in the stadium, by the 1/3 capacity because they would have already bought all the tickets for the day, basically. So that's why we're doing it. I'm like you. There are very few people who buy one ticket and stay all day, especially that time of year. It's cold. It's we have some coaches and stuff that probably come, but they either have a TACA pass or a TWA state championship pass that the school got, and we're still making them leave, and we're limiting them to 250, so they got to go back out and get in line and come back in again. But again, we think that number will still be good enough for them that we shouldn't have anybody that's not allowed in. So,
well, Richard, I appreciate you joining us. Second year in a row, you've kind of helped understand everything. Hoping everything goes well Friday night. We'll be all waiting to see the brackets as they unfold, and hopefully we'll see you in Cookeville in another month.
Well, I appreciate it, and you do what you've always done. Stay on top of us when we put that score in wrong. Make sure you corrected it for us.
I've made a couple of them this year to Bradley, but it's with all the scores you get in, it's easy to do.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Richard. Folks, that's been Richard Bigwater, TWSAA Assistant Director. Of course, Friday night is the last night of the regular season. Brackets will be out really late Friday night, hopefully between 11 and 11:30. But, as Richard said, it may be a little bit later. But I think it'll be out between 11:15, 11:30 would be my guess. You have been watching the Bootleg presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. We'll be back in a minute with a quick rundown of our top 10 games of Week 11. Joined by Joe Spears of the Daily News Journal and the Columbia Daily Herald. It covers our high school sports there in Columbia. Joe, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back.
So
the week.
Yeah, so last week of the regular season, woohoo, we made it. Was joined, of course, earlier by Richard McWhorter, Assistant Director of the TWSAA. I want to thank him for spending about a few minutes of his day with us. No, it's a busy week for them. Well, Joe, it's Week 11. Last week, a lot of games. I think every game of this week has some sort of for region titles or to get in the playoffs. So we're going to jump right in it. Game of the week here in Nashville will be Independence hosting Ravenwood. Independence 6-1 undefeated in region play. They play Ravenwood 5-4. Those two teams and Brentwood all have chances to win the region. Basically, Independence wins, they're the region champ. If Ravenwood wins and Brentwood wins, Brentwood is the region champ. And if Ravenwood wins and Centennial beats Brentwood, then Ravenwood is the region champ. I think I said all that right. So all three teams have a shot at winning the region title. Ravenwood's a big fan of Centennial this week. Brentwood's a big fan of Ravenwood this week. So I'm not even sure who really wants that, because Sewers Creek, the third seed, won't be able to play in the playoffs. So to be honest with you, second place is probably the best one because you got a first round bye, I believe. We'll see. We'll see if that's official come Friday night, but it looks like that's what's going to happen. Independence, Jackson Campbell's their go-to player. Trevor Andrews, Ravenwood quarterback there. Of course, Jake Brennan still is the top receiver, one of the best receivers this year in Middle Tennessee. Of course, he's a tight end going to Clemson. I'm seeing this game. I think I'm going to jump on that Independence bandwagon. I know it's late, Coach Blade, but I'm going to say 27-21 Independence over Ravenwood.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Independence right now. They're playing really well. Everybody talks about Jackson Campbell and what he's done this year, but that defense during this 6-game or 7-game win streak, whatever they have right now, they've played well. They played well against Brentwood last week. I don't think I thought maybe we thought a higher scoring game, but I mean, it seems like they controlled that game for most of the afternoon. So I'm all in on Independence. I think they take this game 28-24.
Hendersonville, they travel to Mount Juliet. I think that's for the region. I believe that's Region 4 6A title. Winner wins that. You know, I like Brent Rowe and what Hendersonville's done. They're not going to throw the ball a lot. I think our sports writer Mike Organ will be there at that game. I think he's going to see a lot of ground, a lot of running. I think he's going to see a quick game. I'm sure he'll thank me afterward for the quick game with that. I'm going to say Hendersonville 28, Mount Juliet 24.
Yeah, I think this will be a really good game. I've actually got Mount Juliet picking up a 28-27 win. I think it'll be one of the better games this week, but Mount Juliet just does just enough.
Next game for the Region 5 4A title. Winner is the first seed, the loser is the second seed. Springfield hosts Creekwood. Springfield 8-1, Creekwood 9-0. Both teams undefeated in region play. I like this Cavante Hudson guy, and it's a great matchup against Elijah Donaldson, the quarterback and DB for Creekwood. He's got 8 interceptions. Really good job running the offense there. I like Springfield at home, 35-28.
Yeah, I think Springfield, I mean, these teams are about almost as even as you can get. Springfield has the one loss to a really good Marshall County team. But I think I agree with you. I think Springfield wins at 24-17.
Oakland travels to Warren County and McMinnville, and they face C.J. Taylor. Of course, Riverdale handed them their first defeat, Warren County's first defeat this year. Oakland has never lost a region game under Kevin Creasy. And the last time I checked, Kevin Creasy is still the head coach. I'm going to go Oakland 38, Warren County 7.
You and I are pretty close on this. I mean, Oakland's firing on all cylinders. Warren County kind of got exposed last week against a good Riverdale team, and Oakland's defense is just as good. They showed that they can play ball, so we've got Oakland winning at 45-10.
Pearl Cone, Giles County. Pearl goes to Giles County for the Region 5 3A title there. Pearl's destroying teams since they've got on the field, and a person that won't get a lot of talk because they've played a shortened season but should is Martino Owens from Mr. Football in Class 3A. Don't know if he's the winner, but folks, he should be on your ballot. He will be on my ballot when I turn it in this week. I'm saying Pearl Cone 42-14 over Giles County.
Yeah, Pearl Cone's shut out their last 3 opponents outside of that 114-point performance to start the year where we kind of expected they'd be a little rough having not played. They're dominating teams. I think they continue doing that this week. I think they win at 48-7.
Lewis County plays Forest for the region title there. I like Blake Carroll and Lewis County to win this game. I like Lewis County 20-10.
Yeah, Lewis County hasn't had a whole lot of issues this year outside of that first game against Riverside to start the year. I think they won that by a point. Forest has played a lot of close games, but Lewis County, I think they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the playoffs. I think they win this one 31-21.
Fairview versus Stewart County, I believe that's 6-3A. That's for that region title. I like Logan Adazi. He was a Mr. Football semifinalist a year ago. I know they're pushing for him for this year. The problem is they've missed so many games with that. I think he should be on your ballot. But Fairview 35-14 over Stewart County.
Yeah, I think it'll be a little closer. I've got Fairview winning this 28-21. They both have great seasons, but I think Fairview just is they're a better team overall.
Christian Brothers versus NBA this week. I believe that's hosting them. Dallin Hayden, perhaps the best player in D2 AAA, having a great year for the Purple Wave. The Purple Wave, you gotta love them, right? Got the purple shirt on.
Great name.
I'm going Christian Brothers 21-20 in a nail biter over NBA. NBA's defense isn't quite as dominant as it was a year ago. It's interesting is the offense has been a lot better, but I just think Dallin Hayden is going to be the deciding factor.
Yeah, Dallin Hayden is ridiculous to say the least. Probably the best player, one of the best players in the state. I think it'll be a shootout though. Granted, I think NBA's defense, like you said, they're not as good as they were last year. They're giving up a lot of points. But I think that offense is still good enough to give Christian Brothers fits. I've got NBA winning at 38-35.
There you go. The Big Red appreciate that. Rossview at Lebanon, winners fourth, losers outside looking in, I believe. Rossview's had a great season. They shortened a couple games. Lebanon with the Shannon kid has done a great job running the football. I like Lebanon to win this game in a close game. I believe our sports writer from Clarksville, George Robinson, will be at this game. I'm going Lebanon 21, Rossview 17.
You and I are almost exactly alike there, except I have Rossview winning this 24-17. I think it'll be a great defensive game, and I think Rossview makes a play at the end to pick up the win.
Blackman travels to Cookeville in our final game. The winners in, the losers out. Cookeville's been in like 19 or 20 straight playoff games. Blackman's been in 13, so we're going to see a streak end. I'll be honest with you, I wrote down Cookeville as my winner, and then I started thinking about it, and at the last minute, I crossed it off. I think it's a close game. I think Blackman wins this game 21-14.
Yeah, I've got Blackman winning 27-20. I think the Blaze have played a brutal schedule. I think that'll help them out. Those early games, they're past that. They've played well recently. Granted, it's not against the Alcoa and the Independence and all that and Ravenwood, but they're playing well, and they're playing well at the right time. And I think Cecil's prediction of them getting into the playoffs and potentially winning a playoff game may not be too far-fetched, but I've got them winning 27-20.
Let's not tell him that he may be right, please, because he will not live this down if this happens. Let's not remind him. But I just think Blackman has just a little bit more speed, and I think that may hurt the Cavaliers. I do like Stockton Owen there, the quarterback at Cookeville, a lot. I like Drew Beam there, quarterback for Blackman as well. Different types of quarterbacks, but Stockton's going to run the ball a lot more than Drew. Drew's going to throw the ball around. We made it through 11 weeks. Don't ask me how. Still don't know. And granted, knock on wood, we got to get through Friday night, but we've made it here. And folks, we are going to have more details to come. I'll make an announcement on Twitter when all the details are announced. But it does appear we will have a late night or early morning playoff analysis. We haven't decided if we're going to do it really late or release it really early, but we will have a playoff analysis for you guys and gals either really late Friday night or probably around Saturday morning. We'll release a live show, but more details on that to come. Joe, appreciate you taking a few minutes with us. You are at Lawrence County Spring Hill, is that right?
I am, yeah. The winner of that game is they get into the playoff. It's winner go home. So Spring Hill playing well.
Big game there. Winners in, losers out. And I will be at Independence Ravenwood. Have thought I might be at someplace else until that upset happens Saturday afternoon. But we're quick to readjust our plan, and we'll see you all next week.